Imagine you're on field competing against Cristiano. Imagine trying to get bigger than Arnold. What about trying to wrestle Khabib or sprinting against Bolt? Imagine trying to fight this guy. Yeah, good luck with that. But before that day ever comes, wake up, there's work to be done. Your idols did not get here by accident. It took each one of them a lifetime of discipline and consistency to get here. And I'm going to be honest with you, the odds are stacked against you. Forget about being a rival. You are currently just a fan. No one knows that you exist. But soon, they will. Now just a heads up, this isn't going to be one of those surface level motivational videos where I pat your back and tell you everything is going to be okay, because it's not. Shit is about to get real, so buckle up, princess. This video is going to act as a blueprint, your 5-year plan to get so good at something that your idols become your rivals. Here's the brutal truth, no matter what it is that you wish to be exceptional at, whether it is martial arts, lifting weights, programming or entrepreneurship, you are going to suck at it, at least initially. And naturally, when us humans suck at something, it's hard to be consistent at that thing, and that is why close to 80% of people that take a gym membership do not show up after the first week. This is the part of your journey where you're basically getting little to no external reward for the effort that you're putting in. Your first 100 YouTube videos are going to get little to no views. Your first 50 or so sparring sessions are just basically you getting your ass kicked. During this phase of your journey, your target should not be excellence or trying to set world records. Your target should be to simply show up day after day and make this thing a habit. If you can manage to stick to that thing for 3 months, well then congratulations, you've already beaten 80% of the people. I'm going to give you a couple of pro tips on how to turn things into long-term habits. The first step is decide the exact time at which you're going to do that thing each day, and then stick to that time. If that thing is not scheduled in your day, then it is at the mercy of your mood. And things that are left at the mercy of your mood, they are rarely ever done consistently. The second step is to lower the intensity of things initially. If you're just starting martial arts training or coding, don't start doing it 2-3 hours a day, because maybe your body or your mind, they're not used to that effort and it begins to feel like a huge mountain to climb each day. I always recommend starting with very low doses of effort such that you actually feel like doing that thing the next day. There's going to be plenty of time for you to ramp up the intensity after you have actually made that activity part of your daily routine. The last step is to reduce all friction between you and that activity. If you know that you are going to go for football practice tomorrow morning at 6 AM, make sure your clothes and your shoes are already outside the night before so that there's no friction tomorrow morning. I make most of my YouTube videos each morning, and before I go to bed, I make sure that my desk is super clean and my laptop is ready on the table. And I know this doesn't seem like much, but it is these tiny bits of friction that add up and can lower your desire to do something, because we as humans prefer the path of least resistance. If you're someone who's just starting out on your self-improvement journey and you're kind of struggling with consistency and you struggle to follow a routine, then I highly recommend that you read this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. In my opinion, this book should be taught at every single school because it teaches you the foundations of building habits. And any excellence that you see in the world, be it in sports, scientific research or entrepreneurship, it all comes from a person's ability to formulate and stick to habits. No matter how gifted or brilliant you are at something, if you cannot stick to it for longer than 2 weeks at a time, you will never be exceptional at that thing. You will keep starting from scratch. The world remembers the person who did one thing for thousands of weeks. Let's say it has been 3 months, you have now successfully created a habit, you've built some consistency, you're showing up even on your bad days. Basically, you have created some structure in your life and you're now ready for stage 2, strategy. I'm going to tell you something rather hard to digest. You can only become world class at one thing in your life. Neymar and Mbappe are arguably 2 of the best footballers on planet Earth, yet they suck at basketball. An average high school basketball player would perform better than them at the task of playing basketball. Why is that? The reason is these elite players have completely removed everything else from their plate other than the thing they want to get exceptional at. they live and breathe football and have been doing so since they could barely walk. Look, if you want to be just good at a bunch of different things, have a bit of novelty and more of a balanced life, and you actually find that enjoyable, that is great. Good for you, sir. But if you truly want to become world class at something, your next task is to now commit as much time and energy as you can into that specific craft. And one of the most powerful ways to do this is to remove other things from your plate. If you have decided that you want to become absolutely world class at MMA, you cannot then be training football 3 days a week or focusing your efforts into powerlifting meets. If you have decided that you want to grow one business, you can't then open another business in another industry and expect to scale that parallelly. Because there is a competitor out there who's not scattering his resources all over the place, and he is actually putting all his resources into a single task. And it is arrogant of you to think that you can do 3 other things and yet outperform that guy. Remember, the man who chases 2 rabbits ends up catching none. It's now been a year or 2 and you've been pouring large volumes of time and energy into just a few things. Maybe you're now able to attend 2 MMA sessions a day, or you're now able to spend all your 8 hours working on just one business. You are now going to grow at a tremendous rate, and this alone is going to help you beat 90% of the people around you who have just scattered the time and attention. This means that you're ready for step 3, specificity. Just spending large time and energy will only get you so far before you begin to plateau and stop improving at your craft. However, if you want to be world class at something, you now need to be a lot more intentional and specific with your training. Simply showing up for training is no longer the goal. The goal now is to improve specific aspects of your game each time you train. Let's say you're a content creator. Rather than just showing up to create an entire YouTube video, you will now be required to isolate certain aspects of content creation. Now you will dedicate time to specifically improving your thumbnails or your sound design or your color grading or your B-rolls. Or let's say you're a boxer, and rather than just showing up and sparring or just hitting the bags and just doing another workout, you will now be required to be hyper specific as to what exactly are you trying to improve. Perhaps one particular training session you're just trying to work on your jab, and the next training session you're just trying to improve your endurance. Specifically working on certain aspects of your craft allows you to break free from plateaus and continue improving even though you're no longer a beginner at that thing. We have now arrived at the final stage, the stage that separates good performers from truly world-class performers. And surprisingly, it has very little to do with talent. There is this psychologist called Angela Duckworth who wrote an entire book on this topic called Grit. She spent years studying elite athletes, military cadets, entrepreneurs, musicians, and high performers from all fields of life, and she discovered something truly fascinating. The people who eventually reached the highest level of performance were not necessarily the most talented ones. They were actually the most persistent ones. Like, consider this equation. Your achievements in a domain are basically determined by the amount of talent you possess for that thing and the amount of effort you invest into that thing. Talent basically determines how quickly you improve at a particular thing, and it's actually fixed for the most part. You can't really change how talented you are at a thing. However, effort determines how far you ultimately go at that thing, because it is 100% in your control and basically has no upper limit. Every year, thousands of talented people start businesses, thousands of talented people start YouTube channels, thousands of talented people join martial arts gyms. However, most of them are gone within the first few months. Not because they aren't talented, but because they lacked grit, that staying power. They could handle the exciting part of starting something new, but they couldn't handle doing thousands of repetitions of the same thing. They could handle days when they were doing pretty well, but they couldn't handle it when they faced setbacks or plateaus. Angela Duckworth studied candidates entering one of the toughest military training programs in the world. Now, naturally, researchers expected that things like intelligence, athletic ability, or leadership scores would predict who would actually survive in this training program. But guess what? None of these things did. The strongest predictor of who would finish this program was grit. The willingness to keep going once things became uncomfortable. Because eventually, every meaningful pursuit in your life is going to become uncomfortable at some point or the other. There will come days when your YouTube videos aren't getting any views. There will come a day when your business is actually going to lose money. There will come a day when you get absolutely dominated in sparring. There will come a day when you train hard, lift a lot of weights, and yet don't see any results. And on that day, your talent is not going to save you, but your grit will.